Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to welcome you all to the Halftime Talk feature interview series. I'm delighted today to be joined by Mr. Faisal Ali Rashid, Senior Director, Demand Side Management at the Dubai Supreme Council of Energy. Thanks so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Great to have you with us, Mr. Rashid, because, of course, we're talking about all type, energy, all things energy, and particularly with regards to Dubai, which every corner you turn here, and I live here in the city with you, it is booming, isn't it? And with that comes energy consumption from a personal consumer point of view to industry, etc. So let's start by talking big picture and asking you, how much of a challenge do you think, with all the opportunity that economic growth brings, what challenges is it presenting in terms of managing energy consumption, if at all, if indeed you do see it as a challenge?
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. Going straightforward to the question, I would say in the Emirates of Dubai, you already have sort of a proven concept in terms of strategy activation, in terms of government structures as well. We have also connection with the private sectors in many ways, when it comes to strategy activation. So on top of all, we have demand side management strategy consists of different program looking at basically reduction of water, electricity, and fuels as well. So if we look at the challenges, I think I would say, in my opinion, there are certain things that are happening maybe and accelerated pretty well, and some challenges always remain. So I would say, if I sort of mention some of the challenges, I would say the renewable energy storage is one of the challenge. I would not put them in order, but I'm just saying I'll
Yeah.
mention some of the challenges. The limited rooftop storage capacity, especially for high-rise building. If you look at building with 40, 30 stories, and then you don't have much space in terms of solar and storage as well comes on top of that. So one thing is limitation of space. If it's a distributed solar, this is one thing, and the other thing is basically I think the cost of the storage is another challenge. So this is with the rooftop. If you look at the demand and the supply side, also the utility scale solar has um I think issue with the storage. In Dubai, we have CSP technology. It's being used, and it has the storage capacity. And then there are many sort of small pilot project with the lithium battery. But again, they have not reached the big scale size, I would
And I
say.
mean, so let's start with those points. We're talking about solar and obviously renewable energy. So why haven't they reached that scale, do you think? Is it just a matter of time? Is it funding? Are there
No.
other priorities? Why do you think? What would it take to move that dial?
Again, this is not in Dubai. This is, I think, worldwide. The lithium
Mm,
battery still has limitation, also in terms of cost, because everything it has to make sense financially. So, as you can see today, the solar is huge in Dubai. It's one of the largest in terms of capacity of the plant. I think because it has a good return of value. It has also a short maybe
yes.
period in terms of payback period. Same goes for the EV. I think it makes sense financially. That's why it's happening. It's happening, and there are thousands of vehicles now on the street of Dubai because of that. But again, the energy storage has its limitation because of its Again, it's cost, but despite that, still there is a CSP solar project which is delivering around 900 megawatt, and there are many small pilot projects as well, different 1 megawatt or more
Okay.
there. So I would say maybe we are 5 years away to sort of have the energy storage part of the strategy, part of the capacity. I'd like to continue as well in terms of challenges.
Yep.
The bigger challenge also the decarbonization of existing infrastructure. There are more than 140,000 buildings in Dubai, and
Mm.
mostly I think we know that these are part of the existing building, mostly are inefficient building because of the old code. Okay. So this is one thing in terms of challenge, despite having good progress. More than 15,000 buildings have been retrofitted, and the target is to reach 47,000 buildings by 2030 to be retrofitted. And the objective is to basically lower the intensity of the building, increase the efficiency of the building, lower the greenhouse emission of these buildings. So this is the objective.
And of course,
And
I mean, just to interrupt you there, but on that point, part of your integrated energy strategy for 2030 is to reduce consumption by 30%. Does that 30% target work into what you've just said in terms of the retrofitting of commercial buildings? That's kind of part of meeting that
yeah,
target.
again, this is a good question. The strategy has been the DSM strategy has been launched in 2013,
Mm.
and we are more than halfway now today. And the target is to basically reduce the consumption of water electricity by 30% versus business as usual, which was set, the baseline was set in 2013. So every year we compare our reduction compared to the baseline. So as we speak today, the reduction of electricity is 9.7 terawatt hour, equivalent to 16% reduction versus business as usual. So in the next 5 years, we have to basically reach the 30% reduction. So we are very much ahead, little bit ahead of the
Mm.
targeted saving. If you look at the actual saving for water, is the around 18 billion imperial gallon saving versus business as usual, equivalent to around 12.5 reduction versus the baseline.
Okay, and I mean,
So
you
yeah,
mentioned also, Mr. Rashid, the EVs. I mean, that's part of the obviously renewable story, the battery storage, etc.
yeah,
On the infrastructure front for EVs, I mean, clearly you said that every day we see, several more electric vehicles on the roads in Dubai. But of course, it's one thing for Baidu or Tesla to be selling those cars, but clearly we need a lot of charging stations, don't we, in terms of
yeah.
around the city. Do you think that's moving fast enough versus in parallel with the actual purchase or replacement of ICE vehicles?
Excellent. I think this is also another dimension that's moving also forward. As we speak today, there are more than 70,000 green vehicles in the Emirate compared to maybe less than 500 in 2015. And if we look at the ratio between EV and hybrid, the ratio is close to 60-40%. Basically, 60 is a little bit less than 60% EV, and then a little bit, basically more than 45% hybrid. So EV is continue to gain ground, and the target basically by 2030 is to have 10% share of light duty vehicle out of total vehicles in the Emirates of Dubai. As we speak today, the share is 3%, and by 2030 we need to reach around or 10% exactly. So this is the target. I think with the acceleration that we see with the new models that are being introduced in the market with the infrastructures as well. If I can talk about the infrastructures as well, as we speak today, there are more than 500 charging points in the Emirates, and the target by end of this year is 1,000 charging point, and by 2030, 2,500 charging point. So I think the infrastructure is basically supporting this very important initiative, which is part of our net zero objective or pledge that UAE government has made for 2050.
Absolutely. I mean, that is, I did want to get onto that vision for the net zero carbon strategy. Obviously, a big one, which is, to be 100%, pollution free, let's say, by 2050. That's a long way away. And considering the progress and that stats that you've just used in terms of what's been done in 5, 10 years, why wouldn't we get there? Particularly when it comes to technology. I mean, let's talk a bit about that, both technology implemented in the actual cleaning space of traditional fuels and the investment going into that, and also in terms of energy efficiency. Do you see that, AI tools, new innovation, both on the physical and, I suppose, digital front, are going to help Dubai reach that target of 100% clean energy by 2050? And how? What projects do you see in place that can help to do that?
Yeah, I will maybe concentrate on the, I think, large aspect or high level, because small technologies will always be there, here and there, different devices, different machinery that basically are used within factories, within houses. But the big scale, I think technology, we're looking at like waste to energy on the supply side. This is one of the things that has been introduced in the Emirates, basically converting solid waste. You're using solid waste, treating it, and then create using the methane to basically generate power. So as we speak today in Dubai, this is already commissioned, led by Dubai municipality, basically delivering 200 megawatt, the installed capacity. The other thing is energy storage. I talked about it, the concentrated solar power and the lithium battery, and there is also hydropower in Dubai is ready to also to go in terms of delivering generation. I think this is more sort of a model, because we don't have the natural sort of
Of course, water flow.
geography, but
Of
I
course.
think they have taken advantage of Hatta area and then created this, I would say, big pilot project to do hydropower as well.
What
And
about district cooling? That's a big one, isn't it?
yeah,
District cooling.
this
Mm,
recalling also Dubai is leading the whole world in terms of
yeah.
share. As we speak, this recalling share in the Emirates is 25% out of total cooling in Dubai. Basically, the installed capacity is 2 million refrigerant ton. If you add also like other standalone efficient cooling, the share of efficient cooling will be around 50%. So that is, I think, no city in the world basically has such high share of district cooling, which is basically, I think, more efficient than conventional cooling. If you look at
Mm.
the kilowatt hour versus refrigerant ton, for conventional cooling, the air cooling is around 1.5, and DC or efficient cooling is 0.85. I think this is what we have reached in Dubai for all these district cooling plant. The average is 0.85.
That's amazing. That's a great achievement. I mean, and what about, I mean, in terms of a related question to that, the
Uh,
alignment, Mr. Rashid, between, and sort of, I suppose that's where regulation can come into play as well, but the alignment between the different stakeholders who are all, obviously participating in this strategy, right? DIWA, the Emirates National Oil Company, how they all feed into this plan, this grand strategy of efficiency, and I suppose, smart grids, etc. I mean, they all play their part. Do you think there is good alignment now between the different big
yeah.
stakeholders in Dubai? Are there any uh, challenges again to that? Where would you see that there could be some improvement on that
If
front?
you, I'll finish these challenges and then I'll come to the alignment if you don't mind.
Of course.
So the other, I would say the technology, I mean, not the challenges.
Yes.
The other technology, the smart grid and smart meter aspect, these are also, I think all meters, electricity and water meters in Dubai are smart. So basically, this will enable real-time monitoring of energy usage. Help both consumer and energy provider to optimize consumption for great efficiency. So basically, the consumer will know more about their consumption, and then the energy provider will understand the behavior of the consumer. So this is great, I think, technology, great things to have, and not many cities have such thing. When I say all meters are smart. Uh, and then I'll come to the alignment. The alignment is, as I said, Dubai's Supreme Council of Energy is leading this effort, whether it is a supply or demand side management. We have a committee, high level committee, consists of the chairman, uh, His Highness Sheikh Ahmed bin Saeed Al Maktoum. He's the chairman of the basically the SCE board committee. The members are from all entities that you have mentioned, DEWA, all the big player, whether it is the energy provider, DEWA, RTA, Dubai Municipality, uh, uh, IGA, the aluminum sectors as well.
Yes.
Uh, so all the ENOC as well are part of the committee. Within this also we have operational committee like this, the demand side management committee, which is I'm part of. I'm also deputy chairman of the committee. We have green mobility committees as well, consist of also big player. We have integrated water strategy. Water is also a huge thing in our
Of
sustainability
course.
cause.
And in the region.
Last, we have also circular economy committee looking at the circularity, which also we feel is part of the future, is part of what we should do beside, all other effort that we're doing, whether renewable, whether green transport, but on top of that, also we don't want to neglect circularity.
Okay, and so talking about circularity, that does lead us on to my question of alignment, right? Because you face the energy, power, water, etc., as you said, and also literally circularity in terms of more sort of more micro on the ground. All those committees that you sit on and all those bodies that are chaired, are they talking to each other efficiently enough? Do you think?
Yeah, again, we have a mechanism, we have a charter for each committee, and for circular economy committee in particular, we have a member from private sectors as well. We have defined our goal and objective for these committees. We have defined also the I would call it initiative. So we have more than 24 initiative. Each initiative has a charter and detail. And when it comes to reporting, I would say within circularity, we're reporting it in different way. We're looking at the share of circularity, whether it is a large scale initiative, like let's say solar, whether it is a small circular economy initiative. So we're looking at it from circularity aspect. We are not there in terms of measurement and verification. For
Mm-hmm.
all other committees, I have mentioned we have an MNV, a proven MNV, which basically are using, and then we report every year to the public, whether it is water, whether it is green mobility, whether it is DSM strategy. We report our figure to the committee. For circularity, I think we're starting to establish this measurement and verification, so we can basically share we can share, I mean, the percentage of circularity within government, within the entities, within the Emirates, I mean, in different way. So I cannot basically, uh, or I don't have the detail of all the measuring
No,
element.
but I
It
mean,
is
you're
something
saying
that
there
we're
is
working
measurement
on.
going on. I mean, that's the very
Yeah,
important, is the verification measurement. Otherwise,
yeah,
and you mentioned the private sector, and of course, that's a big ask, isn't it, from the private sector when they come into any project? They want to see statistics, they want to see measurements.
yeah, yeah.
What are they going into? What are they coming in to invest in and improve? Give me your
Yeah.
take on that. In terms of bringing in the private sector into all these initiatives, government initiatives. Do you see that expanding? Do you see the role of the private sector expanding? And do you see the interest there and
Yeah, I
growing
think
from the
I
private
can give
sector?
you, I can share some number. I think it's very much happening on the ground. If you look at the supply side of power, I think the capacity speak for itself. The renewable energy capacity is 2,800 megawatt, mostly done via public partnership.
PPP.
Basically with like a joint venture between
Mm,
government and private sector. So all these projects have been executed by the private sectors. The investment also has happened. I mean, they have invested in these projects. I mean, the private sectors. So they see it viable. That's why they are investing. This is on the supply big utility scale project. On the demand side management, I would say the 15,000 building that have been retrofitted basically have been executed by private scope. So they have basically invested in these projects. They have looked at the payback period. They have looked at their interest. They have looked at the decarbonization. They looked at their role also to work with the government and address sustainability cause. Another thing also with private sectors involved in is basically infrastructure of the green vehicle or electric vehicle. All the charging points have been done
of
jointly
course.
between government and between private sectors.
Absolutely. That PPP JV is obviously critical to moving forward on that. Mr. Rashid, just as we wrap up, to ask you a bit about, I mean, it's looking back a bit to COP28. Of course, we've had COP29 since then taking place in Egypt, but the Dubai chapter was very successful in terms of some milestones being achieved, some statements, some new commitments. We're always seeing lots of commitment come out of COP, but is it being met? And just let's zero in a bit on any of the commitments made at COP28 from UAE's perspective on obviously its sustainability drive, which obviously is part of demand side management as well. Do you feel that those targets are being met so far? What do you think needs to be discussed at the next COP meeting in general for the region, if you like, for the Gulf in terms of its demand side management of energy consumption? While
Yeah,
sort of continuing on a sustainability drive, obviously.
yeah. I would say, I mean, globally, I think most the countries who have participated in COP, I would say on average they have between 30 to 50% greenhouse emission reduction by 2030. I think the announcement has been made by COP that by 2030 the reduction will be 50% by these participating countries. So I would say if I flip it to Dubai in terms of energy efficiency, I would say for on the horizon of 2030, I think our effort is basically to continue to increase the renewable penetration with the target that we have to reach 25%, and now I think it's being upgraded to even 30% by 2030 to continue to improve energy efficiency of building. Again, the target is to reach 47,000 building to be retrofit by 2030. Uh, Even we have a target for government entities that, in terms of retrofit. There are more than 1,500 government buildings have been retrofitted out of total of 2,500, basically by 2030. We're hoping that all government building will be retrofitted. So this is
Good.
like I would say the short term
Yeah,
objective, looking at the proven technology that is already there. And then for the long term, I think like 2030 to 2050, we're looking to develop or scale these emerging technologies such as hydrogen, such as carbon capture, such as large scale energy storage. I think doing aggressive pilot project for this hydrogen will help definitely. Um,
of course.
so
That
we
those are the
address
big.
these challenges in the next from 2030 to 2050 so we can reach our objective. Because even if we reach, I would say, even if we reach 100%
Mm,
renewable by 2050 on the supply side, even if we have all cars electric by 2050, we can only address 50% of the greenhouse emission. The other 50% has to come from circularity, has to come from heavy duty factories, have to come also from heavy duty vehicles as well, these are, I would call them the difficult sectors.
yeah, absolutely. And of course, with Dubai also, pushing on its manufacturing drive, doesn't it? There's another whole new sector there that really it wants to expand beyond the aluminium and perhaps one or two other activities it has there. So big ambitions, big goals, big targets, and as you said, the economies of scale will come into play a lot as further down the target towards 2050. Mr. Faisal Rashid, Senior Director, Demand Side Management at Dubai Supreme Council of Energy. Thank you so much for joining us today on Halftime Talk. It's been great to have you.
My pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for your time.